Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for coming. My name is Sean Cecil, and this training is called Awaken, 7 Keys to Your Dream Career. I am going to respect everyone's time. We've only got about 45 minutes, and I'm going to hold to that expectation, so let's get started. First off, who is this for? This training is for professionals who want to build a career that actually makes them happy. If you feel trapped in a job you hate, if you're searching for what you're truly meant to do, if you're tired of moving jobs every few years, if everything has come crashing down and you don't know what's next, or if you're trying to follow your dream but you can't figure out how to make it work, then this is for you. I'm going to show you how to break this cycle, to build a career that brings you both daily inspiration and financial freedom. This could mean a new job, it could mean going freelance, it could even mean starting your own company. Each person is unique and each solution is different. But if this is what you want, then pay very close attention, because this presentation can put your life on a whole new trajectory. Over the course of the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to finally know your personal calling, a career that energizes you to get up every morning. Imagine truly loving what you do and doing what you love. I'm going to show you how to escape a burnout situation while preserving or even increasing your income. And I'm not talking about network marketing or any of that ridiculous nonsense. These are personalized plans based on your skills and your goals. I'm going to show you how to build a career that lights you up inside and pays you what you're worth. How to escape patterns of job hopping or job paralysis, even if you've been trapped in them for years. And I'm going to show you how work can become something that builds up your relationships, your health, and your happiness, instead of dragging them down. Because a career is meant to be something that empowers you, not something that limits you. My promise to you is that over the next 45 minutes, I'm going to give you a step-by-step strategy to having a career that you love, that energizes you to get up every morning, and that makes you more money than what you're making right now. If that's what you want to learn how to do, then stick around. But before we get into the good stuff, I want to check in to see where you're at. Does this sound like you? Do you find yourself slaving away on meaningless tasks just for the sake of racking up hours or having so-called face time at work, where your main goal is just to be seen working? Do you fight to find time to date or share experiences with your family, such that the cost of your job is feeling constantly lonely or feeling constantly guilty about not spending time with the people who you care about? Do you get frustrated that there aren't opportunities for you to rise higher and faster in your work organization, as if your potential is being smothered? Do you struggle with sticking to diet or exercise routines because of stress or scheduling issues, where you've got this inner conflict because you know that you should be taking better care of your weight and better care of your health, but work is just taking too much out of you? Do you find yourself constantly trying to recharge your energy, even though you used to be filled with excitement about your job? Remember when you first started and everything was great, but now work has just become a burden weighing you down every day? Do you secretly feel like a cog in a machine without a sense of purpose or mission? And most importantly, are you afraid of looking back and feeling like you missed out on experiencing life? If any of these things or many of these things are how you feel, then I've got good news for you. None of those things are the real problem. Those are just the symptoms. The real problem is that you haven't used the 7 keys, and I'm going to tell you what those are in just a second. Once you've used these keys, once you've unlocked it, you'll have a new career that is directed towards what you truly value. You'll be spending more time with the people you care about and the things you want to do, without losing income or prestige. Your body will rejuvenate as the burden of chronic stress is lifted, and you'll have as much energy as when you were a teenager. And you'll wake up every morning with a sense of gratitude and fulfillment, excited about the day ahead. The one thing you need to know is that there are 7 simple keys to make all of this happen. 7 simple keys to have a career that brings you both enduring fulfillment and financial freedom. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what those keys are today. Before we go too much further, I want to really quickly introduce myself so you know who I am and where I'm coming from. I'm an expert in personal and career development with clients ranging from entrepreneurs to Fortune 500 executives to professional athletes. Before starting the Oculus Institute, I played the burnout game myself, working as a consultant at the Boston Consulting Group, also known as BCG, and after that as a director and portfolio manager at a registered investment advisor with over $1.4 billion in assets. My specialty today is helping people break out of their existing patterns and build prosperous careers based around fulfillment, purpose, and enthusiasm. I've dedicated myself to studying people for over a decade, from university dorm rooms to the boardrooms of high finance, from nightclubs to 6-star hotels, from homeless people to multi-millionaire entrepreneurs. And I've found there's a very wide range of success. At the bottom are people who are always in some kind of crisis. Every day seems to be a fight for survival. Above that, there are many people who are struggling from paycheck to paycheck and day to day, but they're getting by. Then, there are a lot of people, probably most of you, who seem to be doing well externally, but they're missing something important, a splinter in their mind that is preventing them from being truly happy. Now, when you look at these 3 groups, all of these are just varying degrees of pain, ranging from desperation to discontent. None of these people are truly winning. But there are a few people who are prospering, who are thriving, who are waking up with a sense of joy and empowerment in every day. And I've studied these people for a very long time, these people who are just knocking it out of the ballpark. And I found that there are 7 specific things that these people are doing that most people aren't. And more importantly, I haven't found a single person doing all 7 of these things properly who hasn't been able to create a career and create a life that they love. It doesn't matter where they came from, or what their childhood was like, or what path they had taken before they figured it out. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what they're doing so you can create that same kind of life for yourself. So quick summary so far. There are 7 keys to having a career that provides you both daily inspiration and financial abundance, while enjoying better relationships, improved health, and freedom from the chronic stress that most people consider normal. And I'm going to walk you through all 7 of them right now. The first key is to commit to truth. I know you guys want to dive right into the practical stuff, and we will in just a second. But I've got to start here because everything starts with truth and with integrity. A commitment to truth above all is at the core and soul of how I and my company operate. Now, truth has 2 components. The first is external honesty, that is, telling the truth to other people. However, the more important component of committing to truth is never deceiving yourself. So why is that so important? Well, this journey that I'm about to show you is completely impossible if you can't be honest with yourself. The very essence of what I'm here to teach is about unity of mind and clarity of purpose. The very essence of self-deception is division of mind and lack of purpose. They are diametrically opposed. They cannot exist together. So you have my word that I'm going to be completely honest with you as long as you commit to being completely honest with yourself. Is that a deal? Truth is the only foundation on which we can build. The second key is to stop sleepwalking through life. As Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we use to create them. So before we go any further, we've got to break the patterns that got you stuck in the first place. Consider this your alarm bell to wake the hell up. According to a recent Gallup poll, 85% of workers in America are either emotionally disconnected from work or actively hate their job. How does this happen? Well, most people buy into the belief that they just need to do what they're told and follow the path given to them and tough it out for long enough, and then everything will be okay. But that's sheer nonsense. Life works exactly the opposite way. The more you try to tough it out when something isn't a good fit, the worse the nightmare gets. And deep down, you know that, or you wouldn't be here watching this. On the other hand, there's a small group of people who have broken free of the rat race and crafted their lives like authors writing their own novels. They actively love what they do on a daily basis. And here's the best part. This is something that every one of you can do as well, if you play your cards right. So how did we get to a point where 85% of people don't enjoy their career? Well, the modern educational system was organized by someone named Horace Mann almost 200 years ago. It was intentionally designed to churn out workers who would be both productive and obedient. People who would always be looking for approval from some authority figure, be that a teacher, a professor, a boss, etc. And the sad truth is that it succeeded. Why do you think people are scared to death to make small investments in themselves or their businesses? But those very same people will shell out hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt without even thinking about it. It's because society says that's the safe option, and they're just following like sheep without ever considering the return on investment. Most people think that the only safe path is some combination of school and a corporate job, and that if you fall off that path, then the big scary poverty monster will come get you. This is a myth. The truth is that someone following society's plan can get fired or burn out at any point, and you know this to be true. There is no security there. True security comes from having two things. First is being able to add value to other people's lives. And second is having the ability to persuade people to pay you for that value. Once you've got those two things, you'll never be dependent on one person's approval, because people need you more than you need them. That's when you're finally in control of your career. So the good news here is that you can break out of this collective hypnosis. All you have to do is make the decision that you're done playing by other people's rules, that you're going to figure out who you truly are, and that you're taking the driver's wheel of your life starting today. And this small shift can make a big difference. Let's talk about a client of mine named Sydney. She's a bubbly person on the outside, but when she came to me, she was hiding a deep feeling of unease. One day, she had looked around her workplace and she realized that most of her colleagues hated their lives. At that moment, she made the decision that she could never become like them, no matter what. Since then, she quit her job, she got engaged, and she moved to Colorado, where she got a new job with a better working environment and a $100,000 per year raise. To top it off, she's discovered her heart's passion in sales training, something that she can build a company, a book, and a podcast on. And she's in the process of making all of that a reality. And she was able to earn $160,000 per year while she set everything up. Now, how in the world did Sydney get these stunning results in a few short months? Well, she had to use all of the other keys we're going to talk about, but the first step was the decision not to settle for someone else's life. She made a conscious choice to write her own script, and she's reaped the benefits. Okay, everyone, now we get to dive into the step-by-step process. Once you've woken up, the next checkpoint is to discover your purpose. And clarity here is critical. You would never get on a plane without knowing the final destination, and you never get on a plane going to a place where you didn't want to be. Your career is no different. For some reason, most people who are suffering at work start looking for jobs that are nearly identical to the one that they can't stand in the first place. That's crazy thinking, okay? Instead, you should be thinking about what would make you truly happy. Many people have gotten so disconnected from what they really want that if you ask them what their goals are, they have no idea. And maybe that's what you're feeling right now. If it is, just trust there's a proven system for figuring out exactly what your true calling is. And in a little while, I'm going to talk about how I can help you figure that out once and for all, so that you don't have to live anybody else's life. So that you don't have to be tied down by what your parents wanted for you, or what your husband wants for you, or what your wife wants for you. We can get to the core of the life you're meant for, and it's never too late to make that happen. Now, what your personal purpose looks like has a lot of possibilities, but you've got to get crystal clear on what this is for you. Because hoping to fall into a dream career by random luck is like planning to win the lottery. The odds are not in your favor. So let's take a quick look at some of the lies we tell ourselves about purpose. The first lie is, if I just rise up the ranks and make it to the top, everything will be better. A lot of people think that if they can just get high enough on the totem pole, that they'll be set. And the recruiters often paint this pretty picture of what that will look like one day. But daily life never lives up to those promises, does it? Here's the thing. What determines your happiness is your perspective. There will always be challenges. What matters is how you see yourself in the context of those challenges. If you're lacking a sense of mission at the bottom, a promotion or two isn't going to change that. And now you're going to have the complication of what they call golden handcuffs, because you're going to have this pay package and you're going to have these expectations of your lifestyle. And that's going to make it really hard to make a change and go chase your dream. So the earlier that you decide to make this shift, the better. The second lie is, I just work in a crappy company. Once I get a job at somewhere better, it will all be okay. Many people will try to put the blame on the company rather than on the fact that they haven't found their purpose. So then they'll go work somewhere else. But since they keep bringing their own misalignment with them, the same thing happens at the next company. So they start out really excited, and then after a year or two, everything sucks again. Then they repeat the cycle, again and again. This is the real reason people end up job hopping. Does that make sense? Next, the third lie is, I'm following my purpose. This organization is doing really great work, and that's all that matters. You can't lose focus on the activities you're actually doing. A lot of people think that they're purpose-driven because the company they're working for is doing something they care about, but that's only half the equation. If your daily work isn't composed of activities that fit your natural talents and preferences, then you haven't really found your calling. Mission and purpose can't just be at the corporate level. They have to be at the personal level as well. But the biggest lie is the most important to get rid of. The myth that if you follow your purpose, you'll wind up broke. We've all heard the story of the starving artist, but that's nearly as fictional as unicorns. The truth is that the more you connect to your purpose, the more money you're going to make. Let me say that again. The more you connect to your purpose, the more money you're going to make. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in the lives of my clients. You can even go look at celebrities like Elon Musk or Leonardo DiCaprio. Because so many people have swallowed this lie that following your purpose means you're going to be broke, most people tell themselves, and you may very well be telling yourself, that they will live for their own values later. Make no mistake. This is the road to hell. Pushing off what you care about most until sometime in the future is how people end up looking back and feeling like they wasted their lives. So remember when I promised you'd be able to wake up energized every morning? Aligning with your purpose is the reason you'll be able to do that. And when you're doing what you love, you'll become irreplaceably good at it. And that brings rewards. You know that feeling in burnout when you're struggling to concentrate? Purpose opens up a state called flow, which is the exact opposite. Focus becomes abundant, so you do a rock star job and you finish early. This is why Steve Jobs said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If that's you, you'll quickly develop enough skill that people need you more than you need them. And once that happens, you get to set the terms. That's how you command a higher income. That's when people stop caring about your hours. And that's how you unlock flexibility and freedom in your career. So how does finding your calling actually work? There are 4 components to discovering purpose. The first is determining your behavioral preferences. If you're an introvert, don't do sales. If you don't like to nitpick details, don't become a tax lawyer. All that kind of stuff. The second is isolating your true values. You might think that these are obvious, but most people have absorbed so much of other people's values that they can't tell the difference anymore. Third is intuitive questioning. Most people aren't very good at this, but a few powerful questions can work wonders. And then finally, and most importantly, is clearing away the programmed junk so that your true light can shine. At the end of the day, no one can tell you your purpose. You have to listen to your soul, and that requires calming the mind. More on that later. For now, let me give you an example of what a purpose-based career really looks like. Meet Michael Chabala. He used to play for the Houston Dynamo, but eventually the time came to move on from professional soccer. He got a job as a commodity broker, but he didn't find it fulfilling. His heart was still in the game, so he started a side company called Sphere, focused on soccer and fitness. Michael knew he had to follow his heart, so he brought me on to help him scale Sphere enough that he could quit his other job. Now he's got his own 6-figure company doing what he's always loved, full-time. The lesson here is that there's nothing stopping you from creating a career that unleashes your enthusiasm, but you've got to get totally clear on what that is, and you've got to stay true to yourself. The 4th key is to plan using dream bridges. So let's assume you're clear on purpose. Now we've got to make that happen. Let's talk about how to go through that transition without putting your financial security at risk. If you've got a spouse or kids, I know that it can be really scary. But the good news is that you can make these kinds of big shifts without putting what you really care about in jeopardy. So what's a dream bridge? Sometimes getting to the perfect career requires stepping stones along the way. There are a lot of people who find their purpose and then never make it happen. They don't immediately see how to get there because of skills or investment or whatever, and then they just give up. When that happens, the solution isn't to abandon your dream. It's to find the path from where you are to where you want to be. A dream bridge is an intermediate career step that gets you out of a toxic situation and closer to your dream while maintaining or improving your financial stability. This is the way out of feeling trapped in your job. The reality is that most people who come to me are burned out now. but they can't afford to just stop working entirely. That's exactly who Dream Bridges are built for. So let's take a look at some examples of how this works. First, let's look at freedom with freelancing. Freelancing can bring reliable income with the right strategies. I've compiled a set of high-quality freelance marketplaces where you can get set up and lock in high-paying, high-quality clients immediately. And the best part is that the same strategies work for a huge range of people. On one side, you've got someone like my client Steven, who's a very creatively oriented guy. He's currently using these strategies with a mix of photography and graphic design. On the other side, I've got another client named Sean, who is very much a numbers guy. He's doing financial analysis freelance, and he's on track to nearly double his old corporate finance salary while working far fewer hours. Now, let's crunch some numbers on freelancing revenue. We'll start with the rate, $50 to $200 per hour. That's the real range based on my experience with a lot of different people and skills when they're doing things the right way. Then multiply that by 40 hours per week, and then by 50 weeks per year to allow for some vacation. And that comes up to $100,000 to $400,000 per year. And that's without dealing with your boss, not having to commute, and working your own schedule. Of course, freelancing isn't ideal for everyone. Some people work best in a more structured environment. Sometimes, freelancing isn't the best bridge for a given goal. That's why I use multiple strategies. So let's look at a different one. I call it the Career Cube. This is a method that uses industry and functional area analysis to plan out a strategy that can land you nearly any other job without ever taking a pay cut or losing seniority. The old method of getting into a new career is to start over from the bottom of the career ladder. That's silly. The better way is to navigate upwards from the same level you're at right now. It's easier, it's more fun, and it's way better for your bank account. You just have to know how to chart that higher level path. So freelancing and the Career Cube are the two bread and butter strategies for Dream Bridges. There are others, like using a new business as a springboard, or stringing several Dream Bridges together, but these two strategies will solve most problems. Before we move on, let's review the role of Dream Bridges. So what Dream Bridges are not. They are not some form of MLM or network marketing. This has absolutely nothing to do with recruiting people into pyramid schemes or any of that bullshit. So get that out of your head right now. They are not always the answer. Some people are fine staying in their jobs while they work on their purpose. I've got a client named Jennifer who was perfectly happy to stay in her accounting job while she got her real estate income off the ground. Other people have enough money saved or enough passive income that they don't need to work. Another client of mine, Tom, used to be an executive at a big tech firm, so he's got a comfortable financial cushion. And then finally, sometimes people have a business that's got rapid income potential, like my clients Lee and Robert, who are already bringing in their own customers. And Dream Bridges are not a permanent solution. If you aren't working towards purpose, you can end up resenting the Dream Bridge as much as any other job. There has to be something at the end of the bridge. That's why we discussed purpose first. Now, what Dream Bridges are. They are a method to make career changes that would be practically or financially impossible otherwise. They can be a means to pay down debt, or a way to get extra cash to invest in yourself or a company that you wish to start. There's a lot of power in these strategies. Let me give you an example. When Anil first came to me, he was miserable and tired in his corporate IT job. He'd been stuck in a pattern of moving jobs and homes every 2 to 3 years, never finding what he was looking for. He wanted stability for his family, along with the flexibility to take them traveling and eventually to start his own business. I knew that his coding skills could be the foundations of an awesome dream bridge, so I showed him how to land as much high-paying work as he could handle. Using the strategies I gave him, he started getting invites for jobs at $160 per hour. That's an income of $160,000 per year, working part-time, 20 hours a week. So to sum up, incorporating dream bridges into your plan will give you the opportunity to make big changes without taking huge risks. Okay, so the fifth key is to make the journey. A high-level strategy is the right starting point, but you're not going to see your life change until you get tactical and go execute the plan. And staying stuck is not an option. Remember when I committed to be completely honest with you? This is one of those times, even if the truth may be harsh. We've got to count the costs of trying to just survive a miserable situation. Struggling through a stressful job wreaks havoc on your personal life. One way this happens is transference, where inner conflict manifests externally. So for example, you snap at your spouse because you hate your job, and then you have a huge argument and everybody's miserable. Another way it happens is reduced openness. People who are burned out shut down and shut themselves off from the world. But trying to power through a painful situation is also career suicide, because you're not going to do well in a job that you hate. If you're burned out, you probably waste more time on Facebook than you do actually getting any work done. But the other truth is that emotion is contagious, and how you make people around you feel affects your raises, reviews, and promotions. I mean, who would you be more likely to promote? Someone who's enthusiastic, or someone who's grumpy all the time? Your boss is thinking the same thing. The worst part is that putting off the change that you know you need is literally killing you. It's been medically established that chronic stress overstimulates production of a hormone called cortisol. Now, small amounts of cortisol are fine, but excessive amounts lead to weight gain, immune weakness, impaired healing, low bone density, memory loss, and a lot more. You might as well drink poison every morning before you brush your teeth. And that's just one hormone. Have you ever noticed that some people start feeling the effects of age in their 40s or 50s, while other people are still going strong in their 80s or 90s? The people who are living 40 years longer with a spring in their step the whole way are the ones who are living in a state of joy and gratitude, rather than a state of struggle and suffering. So go take a look at the people who have settled for running down the clock or sacrificing themselves to their jobs. Is that what you want for yourself? When's the last time you heard someone say, "I put my nose to the grindstone for my whole life, and I sacrificed for this company at every turn, and I'm really happy with those decisions"? Probably never. I've done hundreds of consults with people in various degrees of burnout, including those who have lost their jobs or gotten divorced as a result. One thing I hear all the time from the people who are suffering the most is, "I wish I had done something sooner." Think about it. If a hurricane is coming, do you wait until the storm is raging to go get supplies, or do you start preparing 3 days ahead? The way to avoid all of this is to take immediate action to move yourself closer to a purpose-based career, even if that starts with a dream bridge. Acting on your plan will mean taking one of 3 paths. The first would be the path of employment, so you're going to have to pick out the right jobs that you want to apply for that will actually make you happy. You got to put together resumes, cover letters, all that stuff. You got to get ready for your interviews. The second is the path of freelancing, so you've got to find the right platforms for your skills. You've got to put together compelling profiles and proposals. The third is the path of entrepreneurship, so you're going to need a really solid business plan. You're going to need your product or service ready to deliver, and you're going to need marketing infrastructure to bring you clients. Now, proper execution of all the stuff on these paths is critical. It can be the difference between crashing and burning or making your escape from the rat race. And no matter which option you choose, you're going to need flexibility and resilience. Always be taking concrete and committed steps towards your ultimate goal, starting today. Most people never do that simple thing. To quote the poet Robert Frost, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." So let's take a look at the value of good execution. A while back, a guy named Lev came to me looking for transformation. When I first spoke to Lev, he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. He had gone bankrupt and his house was foreclosed. He was living with his parents. He owed money to everyone from his friends to the IRS. This was a really shitty situation. But what Lev did have was determination and the openness to try something new. Over the next several months, I worked with Lev on changes to his mindset and how he was running his one-man PR business. He did the work and executed on the tactics we discussed. By the time we were done working together, his income had risen to $100,000 a year, and as a bonus, he had built the willpower to quit smoking for good, something he'd been struggling with for 15 years. So, to sum up, strategic planning is important, but executing the plan through intelligent action is absolutely necessary. Don't procrastinate because your freedom and your fulfillment are on the other side. Okay, so now at this point we've gone over a lot. Let's stop and review. We started with a commitment to truth and waking up from what society has been selling us. You've got to get those before anything. They're the tickets to the party. Then we went over discovering your purpose. You have to be clear on where you're going if you ever want to get there. Next, we talked about dream bridges and how to chart the path from where you are now to where you want to be. Finally, we went over making the journey and actually executing the plan at a tactical level. But there are 2 last keys that are absolutely crucial to the rest of this. They are the foundation upon which the entire process is built, so let's go over them right now. The 6th key is to clean out the garbage. Have you ever seen that show Hoarders? The one where people have kept every pizza box that they've eaten out of for the last 20 years? You'd never do that to your house, right? Well, chances are that's exactly what's happened to your mind. Think of all the times you've lashed out, bottled things up, or held yourself back due to fear, and you'll realize just how much mental junk has accumulated over the years. And that mental junk is what's blocking you from doing what you know deep down that you need to do in order to be truly happy. When I was talking earlier about all those people who are really prospering, who are really thriving, they all get this. They all focus on mindset, on beliefs, on the law of attraction, because that stuff has a powerful effect. Let me give you a few examples. Remember our diagram from the recap? Let's look at how the mental junk affects each step. So mental junk is the static that blocks the message of your soul. Your true purpose is hidden under all the internal chatter in your mind. As many gurus have said, when you speak, it is silent. When you are silent, it speaks. At the dream bridge level, stress destroys income potential. Now just imagine that you could take all the hours you stress each week, and just imagine that you could get paid for those hours. How much extra money would that be? From an energy and burnout perspective, an hour of stress actually takes more out of you than an hour of work. So if you waste tons of energy on stress, you'll struggle to make money independently. Finally, fear causes job paralysis. Job paralysis is an overbearing fear of being without your current job, even if you're miserable where you are. So you hate staying, but you're also petrified of leaving. Definitely a no-win situation. The end result is that most people stay put, trapped in toxic work environments. But you don't have to let any of that stop you. All of those anxieties and fears are just old programs that can be turned off and deleted if you know how. I decided to call this set of techniques psychohacking. Part of inventing a system is the benefit of getting to name it. Now, psychohacking is fundamentally different from the other 3 schools of internal work, which are the therapy model, the NLP model, which you get from Tony Robbins or similar coaches, and finally the spirituality or positive psychology model, which includes the law of attraction and other similar material. Now, these models all have value and usefulness, but psychohacking fills the gaps that they don't cover. I personally use tools from all 4 schools with my clients, but I emphasize psychohacking both because of its crazy success rate and because no one else is teaching anything like it. Psychohacking includes unique tools to clear out conditioned behaviors that are sabotaging you, dissolve stress, outsmart the tricks your mind uses to keep you stuck, and more. So everyone, this is where the real battle is fought. At the end of the day, the internal blocks are the root cause of why most people get stuck. Business plans and resume updates and all those practical things are great, but this inner transformation is where you're going to find the resilience and the power that you know you're going to need to build the kind of career that most people can only imagine. And if you do all of this properly, then the path will rise to meet you in ways that you can never predict. Never forget that you can turn things around. I had a client named Michael Z who was a physician. When he came to me, he was considering leaving the field of medicine. His inner turmoil and anxiety had seeped into every area of his life. Professionally, he was put on formal notice that he was on the road to getting fired. Personally, he had crippled his dating life with self-sabotage. Physically, he was suffering from stomach problems and skin irritations, which are some of the most common medical indicators of chronic stress. Once we did some psychohacking, every single one of those issues turned around. His medical issues vanished in less than a week. His professional superiors officially removed his warning and told him that they were shocked at how much he had improved, and he entered into the happiest romantic relationship of his entire life. But perhaps most importantly, he was able to reconnect to why he chose to become a doctor in the first place. This was one of those times where what was needed was inside all along, even though Michael didn't know it at the beginning. Okay, so now we're almost there. There's just one last key that can often be the difference between success and failure. Don't go it alone. We've gone over a lot today, and hopefully by this point you've dared to believe that you can have the life of your dreams. But remember that this is really, really major stuff, so it's super important to go about this transition in the smartest way possible. Everyone should have a guide to walk them through this journey. The stakes don't get much higher than this. You have the potential to create this incredible life, but there's a lot involved here, and it can go really wrong if it isn't done properly. You can spend 5 to 10 years or more struggling against avoidable roadblocks. You can wake up one day and realize that your bank account has evaporated while you were trying to figure out a plan. Perhaps worst of all, you can end up giving up on your dream entirely. That's why it's crucial to have someone help you figure out what each step looks like for you and walk you through those steps. Let's take a look at where a guide comes in at each stage of the process. First, really honing in on purpose is very different from idle fantasizing. It's a very tough thing to do properly, and there are all kinds of tools out there, psychological profiles and meditations and all this stuff, some of which are better than others, and some of which are completely useless, and some of which are even harmful if they lead you down the wrong path. But I've never seen a single one that gets you all the way there by itself. Next is most people have very little expertise in planning dream bridges. What is the plan to actually get you to your purpose without putting everything and everyone in your life at risk? You have to have a rock-solid answer to that question. At the tactical level, it's really easy to waste a lot of time and effort on actions that don't move the needle on your success. That's why most freelancers and most entrepreneurs end up bleeding cash and end up having to go back into the rat race. Finally, dealing with the mental junk is the most important area to have a clear system and experienced insight, and it's the one where people are least likely to be able to do it on their own. Someone who understands all those internal blocks and burdens at a deep level can know you better than you know yourself. That means that they can help you uncover things that you would never see or that would take much longer to figure out, saving you years or even decades of agony and indecision. And if you mess up any one of the links in this chain, everything can fall apart. But if you have someone helping you and protecting you from making huge mistakes, then you can leap ahead to clarity and prosperity. Your mind is pumped with new ideas from this webinar, so don't lose that momentum. If you dedicate yourself, you can be living your purpose or be on a solid dream bridge to that purpose in a matter of mere months. Okay, so now I have 2 quotes for you all. The first is from the Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius. He said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Everyone got that? That's the first quote. The second quote is from the poem Invictus by William Ernest Henley. The quote is, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." So I chose those 2 quotes because they represent the choice that's in front of you. I just taught you all this stuff, and you can either take this information that I've given you and just forget about it. It can just be some random webinar, just another day, and you can just keep on keeping on. And I can tell you that if you do that, you're going to stay stuck exactly where you are. You know why you came to this presentation. If you're here, you came here for a reason. And if you choose to just let this knowledge pass you by, then you'll keep living a life of quiet desperation for the next year or 5 years or whatever until you eventually burn out completely. I've seen where that road ends. People become bitter and resentful, convinced that the whole world is against them. Or, if you want to chart a new course, if you want to transform your life, if you want to wake up every day brimming with enthusiasm, if you want this to be the year that you start living for the things that you really care about while earning more than you ever expected and spending more time with the people who are really important to you, if that's what you want, then here's what I have for you. I've set aside some time in the next week for myself and my team to speak to you personally about how you can apply these ideas in your career right away. I showed you the broad principles to follow, but everyone's life and everyone's situation are different. Whatever your biggest challenges are, we've seen them and we know how to overcome them. We'll get on the phone for about an hour, and on this session we will work with you to craft a step-by-step game plan to a career that builds wealth and sparks your fire. We're going to get clarity on the real problems, what your dream career actually looks like, and what's keeping you from making that your new reality. And the cost is absolutely free. But there is a catch. This offer is only for certain types of people, so here are the rules. First is you must be willing to commit to truth the way that I talked about earlier. Second is you must be serious about transforming your career starting today. If you're not sure that you want to make a change, or you're not ready to get started now, then you're not going to get a lot out of this call. So no dabblers allowed. Third is I focus on helping people transform their primary careers. So if you're looking for somebody to help you put together a side hustle or something along those lines, then I'm not the right person for you. And finally, possibly because there's a lot of really deceptive advertising out there, there are some people who are trying to make money without putting in effort. Their primary goal is to never work more than 10 to 20 hours per week. And that's not a strategy or a mindset that leads to success. And I don't deal in things that aren't real, so those people can go chase their unicorns somewhere else. However, if you meet all 4 of the criteria above, then I can definitely help you. So go book a session right now. And you guys might be wondering why I'm doing this. Well, I do this because I found my purpose, and I love helping people create lives full of the same kind of enthusiasm. Plus, I know that you might want my help to chart a new career path and transform your life. I know that this transition can be really complex and really scary. Someone's got to show you the details, be there for you when you freak out, make sure that you don't make any big mistakes, keep you out of bad habits, stop you from self-sabotage, all these things. So I know that you might want me to walk you through this whole process and make sure that it's successful. If so, we can discuss it and we can see if it's a good fit for both of us. If not, that's fine too. Okay, so here's a link where you can set up that call we just talked about. and it's super easy to remember. It's oculusinstitute.com/scheduling. Depending on where you're watching this, there may also be a button under the video that goes to the same place. When you go there, it will take you to our calendar page where you can pick whatever time works for you. And then, after you put in your details and confirm your booking, there's an automatic redirect to a short questionnaire to help us make sure that you get the most out of the call. Please, everyone, make sure that you fill out that questionnaire. It really helps us to serve you the best that we possibly can. And one last thing, I'm here to give you the tools to take control of your career, but this process will transform you at an even deeper level. The power that you find within yourself will radiate outwards into your health, your fitness, your romances, your social interactions, into positions of leadership and activities of leisure. Everything is connected, and this is the start of a much grander journey. Today can be the day when you turn the page to a new chapter and take up the power to write it yourself. Today can be the day that you become the author of your fate. So head over to oculusinstitute.com/scheduling, and I hope to speak with you soon.